Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Goshen Chronicles. My name is Sandy Santiago, and I am here accompanied by some great people today. Over here, we have Magdiel Santiago. You might recognize him from some movies such as Magic Mike
or Shrek.
No.
Or Jurassic Park. I was a little dinosaur that was fun. And I'm just kidding.
No. And to my right, I have Diana Castillo.
Yes. Hi,
from
everyone.
Saca Los Tacos.
Saca Los Tacos.
Yes, by far the best tacos I've tasted, and I'm not kidding.
Thank you.
In
I
all this
appreciate
area, my mom's like number one, obviously.
Obviously. Yeah.
But yeah,
if you had to
it's-
choose when your mom's not cooking.
yeah,
Okay,
yes,
yeah,
yes, most definitely.
So it's great to have you.
It's great for inviting me.
And thank you for making time to meet with us. We've been trying to get you here for a while, but you're busy. You're a businesswoman. You're a lot of things. And Saca Los Tacos is just one project that you have in queue right now.
Yes. Saca Los Tacos was the beginning to a whole new portal of finding out that an entrepreneur is a whole bunch of things all at once, and you're dividing yourself in 100 pieces. But we're here.
Yeah, and I had the pleasure to meet you at the the Goshen Chamber of Commerce event of, what was that called? I forget, but it was a business event where different business entrepreneur people came to present their business ideas. And that's where I saw you.
Pitch night.
Pitch night, yeah.
Yes.
If all things, I was invited to be one of the judges.
Okay.
So I had the honor to see you perform, which you did great. You presented your numbers came very prepared, did really good. And so at that moment, I thought, I wonder how old, which I know it's a topic of, we don't discuss on air of age, but you're very young. Let's just say that.
Yes.
But the knowledge that you have about business and what you're doing is amazing. So for the people that might not know, although I think that most Hispanics in the area know Saca Los Tacos, for the people that might not know your business, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business, how it started, how you're doing so far, and how long have you been doing it?
Okay. So initially we started in 2020. So I want to say around the pandemic, March, April. That's when we started selling, and we were home-based vendors. So definitely we started from home, and it was just more of a supply and demand. I did it once, people loved it, they came again, and it was to the point where I was like, okay, like this is more than what I thought I could. But then at that point, what I thought I could handle, but I knew it felt right. So I just kept on working and working. And that's the thing. A lot of people ask, like, oh, how do you do it? Or how did you get to where you are? And I'm still beginning. So I have a lot to accomplish. But in all reality, is just don't overthink it and just actually do the labor aspect. And como dicen, desarrollarte en esa área and perfect it and look over it and just give it your all. And slowly but surely, you're going to behind that when you open up your eyes or you look back, you realize that, wow, like I've created this, and for now 3 years. So it's been such a blessing, and obviously I cannot do any of this thanks to our awesome team that we have, thanks to the village that supports us, and more than anything, our customers are the ones that we're doing it for. If they don't come, we don't cook. So it's been great, and we just kind of showed the community that you're used to your traditional tacos, or you're used to your traditional platillos, but like I myself, no soy hondureña. So you might think like, oh, she's selling tacos, and then you'll relate that back to being you're Mexican. But no, I just love cooking. I love gastronomy. Any cuisine that you want to present to me, I love it. So it's more of a passion that I have within the food itself, and I love Mexican gastronomy. I love how all the spices come together and like they just create you present a dish that you're tasting it, but you're getting a little bit of taste back from home. But with the little mentality that, it's 2023, things might have changed a little bit. And I do come from a generation where we have, it's a lot of change. It's a lot of change between my grandma and me. The mentality it's not the same. We're innovating, and we kind of live in a world where we're in social media and it's what's trending, what's next. And you kind of, in a way, you have to meet that aesthetics, but at the same time you're informing people that it's just a little bit of an upgrade, but it's still the same foundation within it.
Yeah, you gotta take some risks, right?
You do, but I think it's the risk is more with your mind. If you don't care the opinions of others,
Yeah.
obviously to a certain extent, and you know where you get the information, who you get it from, you have to do your little bit of research, but it's just that blind that you need to take off of you and be like, you know what, like this is what I want. I'm going to stay true to myself. And if you don't like it, well, then it's not for you. And that's why there's multiple businesses, multiple cuisines, multiple multiple food trucks within the same field, but everyone has their own little touch and people will prefer what they want and what's accommodating to them.
And I think we could taste your passion in the food, in the tacos. I think I know for a fact that the tacos or the food that you present has reached people all the way out into Fort Wayne area. You're going up to Chicago, and we're getting people that travel a couple of hours just to come and eat the quesadillas.
Yeah.
Which is an insane thing. Which I don't know, but from the norte we don't do that too much. I mean, we do barbacoa and tacos and everything, but to me that's a taste that I don't find very common, that combining it this way and frying it this way and putting it together by not just you but by your staff, which is an imparting that you have to do. So you take your flavor and you still have to teach it and push it forward. So in its sense, you're still passing that tradition down. You know what I mean?
In a
That's
way
what I love.
I am too.
Yeah.
I guess I hadn't looked at it that way, but it's very true. Like, if you might see me in the front, but no, like just know that I'm the one preparing the birria, the asada, the pastor. So I bring this creation to my staff, and I have to teach them a certain way on how to do it. And they also learn, and they're also maybe they go back home and then they teach this, and it's a lineage. I call it a little positive chain that we're creating through food, and we're getting a great experience. We're getting a lot of great emotions through that, and yo me puedo desenvolver en eso también and express that, kind of like my stress reliever book cooking.
That's
So, yeah.
great.
During Peach Nights, you mentioned something that it caught my attention. Your business model. You didn't want to get into a restaurant. You wanted to be mobile. Tell us a little bit about the back of.
So I've been a server since I was 14, actually. So I was born in the United States. For what I'm blessed for the family I have where I come from, but from that age, I was just kind of like, you know what, I want more, and it was something that I kind of needed to figure out on my own, and I just wanted more. So I started working. I wanted my money, and I wanted to feel I had my money. I could do whatever I wanted to, I thought at the time. But I've always been involved in the food industry ever since I was 14. Now I'm 23, so we can say about 9 years. Little did I know that being a server and then from being a host and, sometimes having to manage in the kitchen because some of the cooks might have not been here. And when you're a server, the customers don't really care if the cook is being tardy with the food or not, because it's your tip on the line. The server has a bigger impact than what the cook will if the food is not brought out on time, if the food is not brought out the way they wanted to. So, I was just kind of like, okay, if you guys are not doing it the way, like I need to, like I'm a problem solver. I need to solve this because this is my money on the line, and I need to give them the ultimate satisfaction. Because when you go into a restaurant, you're spending money. A lot of people, we need to keep that, and especially times now, not everyone gets they don't have a huge salary. So when they do decide to go out and eat with their families, they're wasting a portion of their hard labor into something that they should be getting satisfied with. So just having all that background knowledge and knowing the stress of not having enough employees, not having enough cooks, or, not having the right management, kind of pushed me away from that. And uh, COVID was a big time and a big transition for everyone, that everything just became mobile. DoorDash went through the roof. Uber Eats, these apps, just because unfortunately, we live in a time where people just want everything accessible to them, which can be really good. But at the same time, now someone just brings it to your door before maybe you had to cook it or before you had to go elsewhere. So just seeing all those factors, I saw that it was very convenient for everyone. Just going up, getting their food. Some people eat in their cars. Some people take it back home. Like, I've been able to experience a lot of beautiful moments with food. I have I have a family, this was a meal before a passing of someone. And then this is the meal that they'll always remember that person with. This is a meal that they're joining a ceremony of two people into one. This is a meal that can be used in broad aspects, but it's creating a memory for someone, and it's bringing good feelings, it's bringing good emotions, good energy once they're tasting that food because they're making that connection.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's talk about the experience because most Hispanics, I think, I'm going to say Mexicans, we know it is very different to go into a restaurant and sit down and eat.
yes.
And there's another thing to just go outside and stand and eat your tacos as you're standing and talking
Yeah.
to other people, meet strangers,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that doesn't happen inside restaurants. Like taquerias in Mexico City, I'll tell you, you stand there, there's another person right next to you that you don't know. And then you get your tacos and you order stuff and you're starting a conversation with this other person.
And that's a beautiful thing. Like, people do not know the beauty in networking. And, just by meeting the right person at the divine time, um, your life can change.
Yeah.
And just having that good interaction while you're waiting for food, or, the kids are in the car. Like, I understand, even like single moms, that they have multiple kids. It's not as easy as getting everyone together in a restaurant,
Yeah.
have everyone sitting down. It's just like, hey, let's go get tacos at this place. It'll take a couple of minutes. All right, let's go ahead and get going. And we all still got a good satisfaction while not having to be in a huge ambiance where you might think that you need to dress a certain way to get into the restaurant, or, like, I haven't gotten ready. Wait, let me go. No, just go be yourself, get your food, order, and go ahead and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I want to back up a little
Yeah.
bit. So you're 23 right now, and you were mentioned working through this like through COVID. That's 3 years ago. So you're like 19, 20 starting the business. Is that what I'm getting straight?
Yeah, I was 20.
How? That's insane.
So I was actually going to college for nursing. And I remember I was in a biostatistics class, and I was just kind of like, well, I want roles. Like, I want to be higher than this. So I went through a little loophole through college. I didn't know what it was that I was doing. I my family comes from a business aspect, but from them being immigrants, it's a little bit harder to just hustle and sell than to actually know the language of business
Yeah.
and what it all takes to run a business, because it's not just selling, let me tell you that.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that as I was going. So I was teaching myself in a way. So yeah, I was 20. I remember I was working at JACO, and then I was going to IUSB, and it just got to the point where it was like, do you want this, or do you want the tacos? And I was just selling every Saturday. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this leap of faith, and whatever happens, happens. And if it doesn't work out, I'm 20 years old. I can do this again. And then it just all happened. It all rolled out, and I'm still learning. And the thing is, one person told me, and he's a great mentor to me. His name is Antonio Malagon. Um, when you are in a position of help and someone comes and help you, take that personal. But when you're in a position to help someone, don't block the blessing that's being given to you, and continue to spread that blessing, because it might help someone else. So I think that's one of my biggest motivations too, that I finally started to see a lot of people my age create their own businesses. I started to see a lot of girls starting to get into their creativity mode, like the girl building candles, people building cups, people
We had
build,
him here
yeah.
not too long ago.
And like, I saw that and I'm like, wow, like, that is like, props to you, Mirencia, because that is genius. And you're, again, it's bringing a new generation. You're giving them the aesthetics look, but you're connecting them to that culture and their
Yeah.
roots and where they're coming from. So, we need to keep the tradition going, but we just need to find new ways of doing it, and also teaching people along the way. Because again, if you get blessed, I'm a firm believer, your blessing does not stop there.
That's awesome. So let's talk about a subject. We last time we met at the Goshen Chamber,
Yeah.
Nick Kiefer, who is the president, he gave us some data about Hispanic businesses
Yes.
are the ones that are growing the most in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it just reflects the demographics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that caught my attention is that most of those businesses are women-owned businesses. And you just mentioned Mirencia, who we had Maria here the other day, which is a very successful idea. It's amazing. But Sandy has taken the mission with the Goshen Chronicles to interview women. I think it's a good idea because she is a businesswoman herself, and that's actually how she met you, and she's been connecting with other businesswomen. And so, but Sandy and you tell me, from your own perspective as women, what's different? What does a woman have to overcome?
Ooh, the challenges.
Yes, what does a woman have to overcome that
This is
maybe
the good part.
men we don't get? Because that's the truth. I mean, I didn't get it for many years. It didn't click here on me until we made choices. But what is your opinion on
You
that?
start.
Oh
I'll follow.
man, the challenges. Okay, so it for me it kind of stems from several things, and I think you and I have spoken about this a few times. But number one, the challenge of not believing in yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of us as women, especially in our culture, I think we were given a role and we are brought up in that role, and sometimes our mentality doesn't go past that role, and we start accepting what is being fed to us, and we start accepting, well, this is it, this is what it is who I am. There's another aspect of it where we're empowered, but one of the biggest challenges for me was that first belief in yourself, that I can do this and I am capable, and so far so good. I've studied and I've gotten this far, and I think I can do it. I've had my children and I'm raising them pretty good, and I can educate them pretty good, which means I can educate myself. So I think this is pretty, great. And then, we start building company, and it's like, okay, I think I can do this, and then start slowly developing that. But I think one of my biggest challenges, and I don't know, I'd like you to chime in, has been that part of like the faith and the believing in that I can do it, or I can do anything else.
Yeah, and I think that's the case for a lot of women. I won't speak on all because I can't read their mind, but it's just that simple. And for anyone, just believing in yourself and blocking out second, third opinions. Like if you feel so passionate about something, and if it might sound outrageous, then how am I going to do it? Well, if you're really passionate about that, you're going to start tapping into your creativity, and you start making it happen.
Yeah, and you said something very key here a minute ago when you said, you know what, I'm 20 years old, and if I make it, great, and if I don't, I'll do it again. So that failure portion is another part, is this fear of I'm going to fail, and then what? What do I do? Where do I go from there? So, have that motivation to keep pushing forward and decide, what's your passion, and keep going for it. Then obviously we have the other societal norms that we have to get around.
Yes.
Okay. So who are you? You're 20 years old and you're trying to take off in a business.
I think that's my biggest problem. My biggest problem is you're a female, and at the time 20, 21, 20 till this day, and I'm 23, and they just feel, I might misinterpret, but I feel like I'm not being understood, or I say something
serious.
exactly, or I say something, but it's not as big of a validation than someone else who comes in the room. Oh, well, they might have more experience, but you really need to get to know the person, because there's like in Mexico and Honduras, I'll even say there's 7-year-olds out on the beach, and they're so good with the machete, opening up a coconut, and they're working and they're hustling, and they have a much more wiser and open mentality than a 14-year-old could. But it's that life experience that you get within, that you build yourself, and you start building a persona through all of the hardships you might pass, or just any experience that you might need to. And I think for me, is one of my biggest challenges, but then it's also my motivation to be like, you know what, this is checkmate. You think I'm naive. Okay, knowledge is power. Let me fill myself up with knowledge. Let me read a book. Let me Google something that I don't know. If I can't understand your language, I will see what I can do to get up to that level. That way I'm not mistaken, or I say something that's not out of line. And anyone can do that. You don't have to finish college to get the knowledge. You don't have to do some major change. Just pick something up so simple instead of just scrolling through TikTok, things that will bring value to your life, to where you are put in those scenarios, and there might be a huge opportunity behind that scenario. You don't let that pass, because you know what? You geared yourself up with what you needed to, and you keep on pushing.
I hear a lot of passion in that, honestly.
Yeah.
And I know that part of what gets us here is a formation of trial,
Yes.
of going through fire. I don't know if maybe you could share with us, or if you don't want to, that's okay. But talk to me about what, and I've told my story already. So what has been your passion? Like what was your fuel, or what happened, or what woke you up, or what gave you that motivation to to push this, to become an entrepreneur, to say, you know what, I don't want to be here anymore. I need to go for something bigger and better.
One of them that I'll say that I unconsciously figured out throughout the way was I was pregnant when I was 14 and I had her when I was 15. So I have a 7-year-old at the time. And she was one of my, at the time, I was still a kid raising a kid. So you're not really conscious of your outside world. It was just me and her. Me and her, I need to finish school. But as I started stepping outside of my comfort zone and outside of my shell, I started seeing a lot of problems within our community, within our own race. And I was just like, you know what? If I could conquer a miracle of life and continue to grow with her, then I can continue and conquer a miracle of a community and be able to teach that community just as I have been teaching myself. The great thing is I was born here. A lot of people, like for example, my mom doesn't have papers. Um, no, mija, like, es que, like, no, es que no tengo papeles. Like,
Right.
no, no se puede. But who knows if a person caught in that situation could be the next Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
But they're in a country that they don't have the resources and they don't have, and even if you do, there are resources that you can go out and look, but it's just that fear in your head. And I'm like, you know what? I have a voice. I was born here. I have benefits. What can I not do? And even then, it's my parents never, they don't know what generational wealth is. They know the hustle. And I'm just like, wait, but if these people look at the chain this is creating. So if I start this chain, how is it going to develop? And then the kids of my kids, and then the kids of their kids, and what are we growing? It has to start somewhere. Just because it hasn't started 100 years ago, it doesn't mean you can't start now. That's the beautiful thing about life. You mess up today, start again tomorrow, and
Yeah.
you mess up tomorrow and start again the next day. And it's a trial and error. And
I think you're hitting it right on the nail.
Yeah.
For the before we started the interview, I called you the second generation immigrant, though you're not an immigrant because you were born here. That's what we call the children of the immigrants that came here. Some of that, I'm going to say, some of that population believes in the same way that the first generation believes, right? That they're limited, that they can't do it, that for some reason, I don't know why, but you said, no, this doesn't apply to me.
Yeah.
I can build something different. I can go for it. I can have success. And that's exactly what you're doing. Tell me a little bit about the network of friends that you have, because last time I stopped at your place, at the taco shop, you had a 15-year-old kid there selling
Dulces enchiladas. Shout
Yes.
out to
You had
574 Dulces.
most of them were women,
Yeah.
women businesses. How did you meet them? How did they come to you?
Yeah. So, and I think a lot. I have a lot of ideas. And in one of them, I was like, you know what? Why don't I build a group with a bunch of entrepreneur women, or if they're trying to get into the entrepreneur side, why don't we build a group where we can feel in a comfort zone where we can talk about anything and everything? You might have a problem with a customer and I might have one, and maybe it's the same thing even though we're selling different products. How do we overcome these barriers? How do we grow together? Again, giving out the knowledge that someone gave to me. So I started off with that group. Everything was going great. But then I'm like, you know what? No, I want more. You need action. And in action, we'll be able to show more. If this is, I say my calling, if this is my calling to be able to show you just something minimal, or you can show me, because that's what networking is, or making
Sure.
great connections, why not? So my friend and I, Andrea Milan, we started a market. It's called SLT Market. And I'm sure you guys have been familiar with other markets, just pop-up shops where kind of like First Fridays, you go out and vend whatever you're providing, whatever services you do. And we just said, well, I have this location. The food truck is here. Saca Los Tacos is getting a lot of traction. Like, why not share that little bit of light to the public and also give them a more welcoming experience, that while you're waiting for your tacos, you might check out someone with candy, someone with a shirt that they did at home and they put all their devotion and their passion into it, someone that sells candles, someone that's bringing you back artesanía from Mexico. Just start creating a network where girls can lead by example and learn by example as well. So just kind of a way where we can all connect, and it's not limited to girls. Again, we had a 15-year-old in there, and it's not common for teenagers these days to be doing
I
that.
know it caught my
It's
attention. It was like
not
amazing. I
common,
couldn't believe it. I was like, you are the one who makes. Yes, I do. Like, wow.
but it's those norms that we kind of get doctrined in, kind
Yeah.
of like our parents, no, no, don't do that. It's too much.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, okay, I can't do it because I said I can't do it. So then let's shift that mentality. No, you can do it because it's not enough.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And there can be 10 people doing it. But you know what? Every single person will have their own touch. So
Yeah.
why not give them a place where they can exhibit their work? Kind of like an art show. You walk into an art gallery, you're going to see a lot of different paintings from a lot of different artists.
Yeah, you don't say don't paint because they're painters already,
Exactly.
right?
You know, each mind has their own way of interpreting. Each mind has their own truth.
And I think about the Hispanic community, and this is, I tell you this all the time, in Mexico City, you find maybe in one street, maybe 20 people selling, and they all sell.
And they're all busy.
They're all busy because
Yes.
that's our culture.
Mhm.
That's how we do it. I mean, you go and explore new things every single day, and you're like, oh, I ate this here yesterday.
Let me
go
try
there
that over there.
tomorrow, and everybody's selling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different. It's also about the culture. So it might not be something that I'm going to say the average white person, is accustomed to seeing, but it's part of how we do life in our
Exactly.
countries. And I'm
Mhm.
sorry, but
It is what it is, and
it
you
is
can't
what it is, and
stop
we are
it.
who we are, and it's not going to
Exactly.
change.
And the thing is, like, even if you look at it, like for example, let's say Mexico, there's a lot of entrepreneurs. They just don't know they're entrepreneurs
Yeah.
yet because they're just doing the hustle.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? A lot of people have creativity, but how do you structure this into something where it's an LLC or like whatever it is that you want it to be, but something that you can get far and you can start learning more about this and start developing yourself more into an entrepreneur that you don't even know yourself you are. So just bringing out that light and that shine that they don't know that they have or they're afraid to show. And it's like, you know what? It's okay. Like, lean into your failures. That's where you're going to learn and you're going to pick yourself back up.
I'm with you on that one. Businesses evolve, right?
Yeah,
You might
all the
start with
time.
a taco shop, but that's not where you're gonna end,
Exactly.
right? It's just one step to something else.
One door opens to another. And again, an entrepreneur takes on plenty of roles. So this could be an opening to something where in 40 years, I don't know where I might be. And
Yeah.
I don't know what I might be involved. But your mind is always working.
Yeah. So let's talk about the two different skills. One is, let's say, to know how to make tacos, to cook,
Yeah.
right? That's one skill specific. But the other one is to manage a business. It's a different skill.
Right.
Yes.
Which I think, and I want to kind of back up a little bit here because we touched a little bit on, or you said you don't have to go to college for this, but back it up because you did take a little bit of college and you did continue education to get you to this point of business. You know what I mean? So talk to us about like how that was. So we know the initial, college was trying to go to nursing, but then you also took other steps to, to educate yourself.
Okay, I did. So I went to college for that. The best I could learn from there is probably speaking more in a more proper way. Speaking, learning how to handle back and forth emails. But
which is a very
yes,
important-
yes.
I want to say stop number one, communicating, right?
Yes, especially with your professors, you can't be like, "Hey, yo, what's up?" Like, you have to be like, "Hi, sir. Unfortunately, I am stuck in traffic." I actually, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Read a book. Read a financial book. Read a self-development book. Try to find resources around your town. Even the Goshen Chamber. I reached out to them because I'm like, you know what? What do you have that can be helpful of me? What can I learn that I'm not familiar with? And I actually went through a program through Hustle SBE, and it's with Elkhart Regional Partnerships. I landed upon this program. It was just dropped in my lap. And you just have to be 1 year running in business. And they honestly were a great help. They were a mentoring team. They taught us everything what you needed to know about accounting, anything that you needed to know about legal advice, from the very minimum to email marketing, and different people in this room. I had an ecom person right next to me, Imagination Spot here on Main Street. She was there. I had Sky Spa. So different businesses from different areas. And that just comes to show that from the business aspect, the managing aspect, you don't just because you do tacos doesn't mean that you're going to
Maybe.
manage it a certain
Mhm.
way.
Right.
Like managing is a broad spectrum for all
Yeah.
businesses, just that you need to tap into that and see what you the things that you're looking away from, you need to look into that. Be like, hey, I know I'm not good at this, but then if I'm not good at this and I know some of them might be, let's start creating our team, because the people around you
It's that
is
network.
very
Mhm.
very important. So if I'm not really good at emails, I know someone who's good at emails. Wait, can you think you can do this? And then I can focus on my talent, which is cooking. Wait, you think you could do scheduling, so I can focus on what I need to do and not get sidetracked or feel overwhelmed to the point where I get to cooking and I'm already burned out because I had to manage with all different aspects. In the beginning, you're doing it all.
Yeah.
But then there gets to a time where you're just kind of like, okay, Clockwork is an amazing book for any entrepreneur if you want to read it. But it really does get to a time where like, okay, I'm going into a circle, I'm going into a limbo. How do we go up to the next step? Like, how do we keep on innovating? How do we keep on growing? And mind you, if I'm growing, I'm learning more and I can start taking this back out and showing someone else. So within me, I feel like it might not be my duty, but for me, it's my duty to know more and learn more. That way, if someone in need might need help, be like, hey, I already went through that roadblock. Look, you might need to do this and this. It might not, might be a little bit different, but just try it out. And I'll be there like, hey, I stumbled. I did it. Like, I understand you, but just keep on going. Like, you have to lead by example. I can
Yeah.
speak to you, but if there's not a trajectory behind me, then
Sure.
what is there is no, I don't see a point in it. It's just words that are left in the air and the action is not there to prove for it.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years,
What would you like to
What are your
accomplish in 5 years? In the
plans?
next 5 years?
What's the next step?
Yeah. What's the next step?
Without giving too much.
Without
right?
giving too
because,
much,
Because we
yes.
also know that we need to keep a little bit of that creativity. We live in a world where everything is publicized.
exactly.
And then some people run with their ideas. So
And-
we technically want to keep a lot of that to ourselves
As a
until we
business
make it
world,
happen. That's the
right.
way it is,
Yeah.
right?
not even that, just protecting your own energy too.
Right,
Like,
right.
this is a little blessing for you, and you have to protect it. But no, in 5 years, there's a project coming. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm very excited for it. So in 5 years, I see myself in a really happy place. Once this is all done and over with,
The beach with the
No,
no, that's not your happy
no.
place, huh?
my happy place will probably be still working. I'm a workaholic. But in 5 years, I do see myself more disinvolved in the community more than anything, and just having a voice for our people in whatever way that it is I can do, in whatever way that I can give back, in whatever way I can participate. I'm not really asking for much within 5 years. It's just whatever flows.
Yeah.
And if I get there, when I get there in those 5 years, just being able to see other people flourish around me, and that we're creating
Yeah.
the strong team within our community. We're like, you know what? We can do this too. It's time to step up and it's time to rise up.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I see myself in 5 years, surrounded by a lot of flourished businesses that once were afraid to come out to light.
That's
Yeah.
great.
And-
And in 5 years, your daughter should be around 14, 15.
So she will probably be in that. And
Yeah.
she's
How old are
already
your hopes?
she's already speaking about a lemonade stand.
Nice.
So, just
Yeah.
and that
Awesome.
teaches me a lot, because that also shows that
She's following you.
exactly. So
That's great.
whatever is in her environment, that's what she'll be used to. So then I'm like, okay, that's where we're starting the chain.
Yeah.
I might be the start of it, but now I'm like, okay, like for me, it was just like, dang, my parents are at work, like, oh, you have to go work, or like the RVs is the best place to go after this because you need quick money and you need to work.
And now that you said RVs,
Yeah,
seems like you
look what
made the
happened.
right move at the
Yeah.
right time.
I did, and I thank the Lord, but it really does take that shift of, I'm going to get X amount of money every Friday
Yeah.
Mhm.
and live the pleasures of now. Then I need to strip away from that, work all my weekends, and live the pleasures of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which is a delayed gratification.
exactly. Just
Yeah.
like if you go to the gym
Right,
and you're
right.
not going to get a quick instant result. I did a pump. Hey, I have muscles. So, it's going to take time.
Right.
And I correlate that a lot. And it's shown me because it shows you discipline.
We always go back to the long-term commitment.
Yeah.
Always. That's discipline, right? Make sure that you keep a long-term commitment and stick to it. And
And you
go
might
for it.
fail a little bit and get derailed, but as long as you go back, then you just need to give 1%. If you want to give more than 1%, great. But 1% a day is better than nothing.
Yeah, failure. A lot of people think failure and success are like the opposite. I think the failure is part of success.
It is.
I mean, who learns to walk without falling, right?
Exactly. A baby, look at a baby. The baby needs to crawl and then he starts to learn how to walk.
Yeah.
He needs to have teeth in order to chew and digest everything down before giving them solid foods. So it's just those little comparisons that we might not see that go around our life. That what's the difference if you shift it from one subject to the other?
Right.
Yeah. So
And then going back to being a woman and entrepreneur, there's a lot of that you mentioned you learned from being a mother.
yes.
So, and I think we go through these stages in motherhood where we're like, hey, if I could do this, I think I could do anything.
Anyone
honestly.
can do this. You know what? If I can balance this, and you know, as a mother, you always get that mom guilt. I do, and sometimes I'm like, dang, like I just got to put her to bed, and like, but I'm like, you know what? It's for the better future of tomorrow. You know, it's for the better future that I'm breaking these generational chains that came up all the way up to me, and I said, no more.
Mhm.
From now on, we're doing things a little. I don't know what I'm doing, but I will get the right knowledge. And if you surround yourself around the right people, around the same mindset, you're going to learn.
Yeah,
You're
and
going
that's an important,
Yeah.
very important part that a lot of people, I'm going to say, they like to stay in the comfort zone,
Yes.
and they surround themselves with people that think alike, but they're not challenging them, right? You want to create a network of people that sometimes you think are better than you, so you can learn from them.
Yeah.
And keep that network very close so that you can keep learning and growing.
And that was one of the reasons too that program came into me in like such the right time. As I backtrack and I told you guys about those groups that I was in, I was the one kind of speaking and guiding and orienting, and it got to a point where I was just like, Lord, I need to sit at a table where I need to absorb a lot more knowledge so I can continue to pass this on. And I was just kind of at the point where I'm like, ooh, like my hands are tied. I'm already there. And in that group, that's what it was. A lot of successful people in front of me that they had. I'm very wise who I listen to. And again, you need to show me by example in order for me to take you serious.
Yeah.
And I listened to all of them. I picked what I needed to, and I'm like, you know what? I'm ready to I'm ready to conquer the world. And in that conquering, I'm bringing my people in.
Yeah.
And in any event that I can bring someone in, okay, let's bring them in. Let's give them a little bit of light that they might not even have just because they don't know the person.
Yeah.
And a simple, hey, you know, can I bring someone in? You build a connection, and the business is flourishing.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just that little chain that I'm following. My path of life. Everyone has a different path. Everyone is here for different things. And that's just one of those things that's where I'm at. And it might not relate to everyone, and it's perfectly okay. Not everyone needs to do this. Everyone's good in their own area. Just develop into that area and look into that area. Don't think that, oh, well, I come from 3 generations where I work for someone, or like, you know, I'm always working, like this is what I need to do. No, you can do whatever it is that you want with your life. It is your life, and that's the beauty. You can mess it up, or you can do something great with it, but you do not need to look at outsiders for something that's going to happen in here.
Right. But and on that note, I want to add. So, right now we've heard like the really good parts of everything it takes to be here.
Yes.
But there are some societal challenges that I want to kind of shed at least a little bit of light on. We mentioned earlier a little bit of our voice not being heard. And it's happened to me in the past where I can say, look, I went to school for this. I can prove to you that this is what I have. I have my licensing. I've set up several businesses. I've done several administrative departments. And yet I'm still not regarded as somebody who knows. Well, that's kind of weird. So why is that? You know, is it because I'm a female? Is it because I'm Latina? Is it because I'm not up to some magical standard? I want to kind of figure that out. So I've had a hard time trying to figure out as to what is dampening my voice. Like, what is keeping me, okay, how am I going to surpass this? Why am I not being heard? Could you tell us maybe a little bit about what challenges you have faced in this, you know, in this building of your business, and whether or not, you know, you think it's either cultural or it's related to being, you know, feminine? Because I know being a woman, you know, it trespasses culture. So you can be an American, you can be a Latino, you can be an Arab, you can be whatever, and that's obviously a primary challenge. But we also have the extra and added challenge of being Hispanic. Now that is hard in two ways. So one way, to our older generation,
Your own culture, per se.
Yeah.
and to some people who consider themselves more Hispanic than us, because there is within our own community people that look at us and like, you're American,
Yeah.
you don't got it hard, or you don't understand, or you
Mhm.
whatever, you're this or you're that,
You
or you're
didn't
not
suffer
Mexican
like
enough.
I did, right?
Right, or you're not Mexican enough, or you can't speak good Spanish or
That's
whatever. And then you have the other side that views us, I guess in this case we're like Selena, ni de aquí ni de allá, right? But the other, the other side that views us as being not American enough,
Yeah.
or whatever. I've had a lot of challenges on both sides. And then as I'm also teaching English, I get corrected a lot by my Latino friends. So I adopt this kind of middle ground where I'm like, okay, it's I'm not perfect, and I might not know where to put
understood
all
me.
the accents in Spanish, or know exactly what they call, but we're here to learn English. So it's like, but I learn from them and they learn from me. So I also understand where it is that might dampen my voice. What are some challenges that you think you've encountered, on either side?
I think, again, relating back to my age, and especially if I get into the Mexican cuisine, they're like, oh, pero ni eres mexicana. Like, how do you know? And I'm like, oh. But like, in my life experience, like, I grew up with people that were from Mexico, and I've been eating Mexican food since I've been 4. Like,
Well,
so
you
I
can
did-
always, but see, I don't get that because you can always flip that, right? I
Like,
mean, we go to eat to Chinese restaurant, and
Yeah.
guess who's
Who's
cooking?
cooking?
Hispanic people, right?
So, and
You
this
don't
is
even
to
know where they're
show.
from.
Exactly.
Pizza,
Yeah.
our friend, he makes perhaps to me the best pizza that I ever eat.
Mhm.
He's not Italian, right?
He's not in Italy
All
throwing
food made
a.
by
That is
Latinos.
perhaps that makes reference to our
Right.
own culture.
Yeah.
Sometimes that could be
Yeah.
It
a
could be
challenge.
such a barrier, but it's that closed mentality. And it's like we really live in a year where it's like, yes, it's so hard to break customs from years ago, but you're gonna get burnt out if you don't. Like, we really do live in 2023. Like, nowadays you see everything and anything in front
Yeah.
of you. And again, you just need to be wise on what you pick up and on what you don't, but you can't be so closed to something that back in your age, like, it's not there anymore. It's a beautiful memory of the past.
Yeah.
But the past is something we can't go back to. The past is something that was there for a purpose, and now we need to move on with the present. Now we need to move on with the future. So with me too, even with my workers, I'm really good at Spanish. I'm really good at English. I have a couple of Venezolanos, and I take the time to be like, oh, okay, carne desmechada. And I'm like, oh, this is like birria. So I see a Venezolano, and they're like, oh, ¿y usted qué vende? And I'm like, oh, bueno, instead of saying birria, I'll be like, oh, tengo carne desmechada. Y tengo cochino. And they're like, okay, that makes
Speak
so
their
much sense.
language.
Exactly. So then I'm like, okay, like, I understand that they need to adapt to us,
Right.
but then what am I giving to you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then we
True.
kind of like need to adapt back and forth. And I
Mhm.
can't just be like,
Learn.
you know what? I know Spanish, and this is Spanish I learned, and when I'm
Mhm.
keeping it.
Nope.
So that's the only way I can fight that battle is by, okay, like, you give me some of you, I'll give you some of
Yep.
me.
Yeah.
Learn
And
it.
it's just
That's
an
good.
exchange. And from there, I've kind of, even when I interact with certain people like that, I try to educate them. If you educate someone and you make them understand something, they're gonna be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Or
Mhm.
you might still stay stuck in your beliefs, but it's a beautiful thing that each person has a head and each person has an opinion, and you
Yeah.
get to decide what you
Worldview.
take and what you don't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
And
awesome.
accept that correction.
Yeah.
Because like it's funny because when I do get corrected, I'm like, okay, that's something that we learn.
Am I the tea?
But, yeah. Well, hey, it is. We all speak different languages, different ways of expressing ourselves, and even when it comes to our personal, political, and cultural views, is learning to be careful and
Exactly.
learning to
Not
respect
to
each
step
other. And
in,
not to,
the culture of someone might not be the culture of the other. And
Yeah.
now
right.
especially Goshen. Like Goshen is just getting so diverse with so many ethnicities. We're just rising as Latinos ourselves. So it's like if you see a bunch of Venezolanos coming in, it's like they don't know how to interact, but you guys are saying the same thing.
Right.
And it's like, why not take the time to kind of collaborate with each other and learn from each other instead of like, why are we building division between our culture when we should be working together?
Right.
Just
right,
because we're from different countries.
right.
If anything, we're all fighting the same battle, aren't we? Like we all need a voice to
Exactly.
be heard. So in order for that to be, we kind of need to work with each other.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, it was awesome to have you here with us finally.
I love
Yes.
this conversation.
Yes.
So
Yeah, there's,
I have
there's,
more.
there's a lot of
I
stuff that we
appreciate.
can.
Yeah, we can go on for hours, but you know the main thing more than anything is you got it. Everyone has it. As long as you put in your passion into it, and there's a vision and there's a dream, just don't be afraid and don't be afraid to break social norms. That's why you're created different, and everyone has their own brain. So
Mhm.
just take something, don't take it. Whatever. If you feel comfortable with how you are, then so be it. But then also think about tomorrow, because tomorrow also is never promised. And for example, my child, I always think like, okay, tomorrow's never promised. This goes both ways. Tomorrow's never promised. Okay, I can do whatever I want today because I don't know if I'm going to be there tomorrow.
So true.
But then tomorrow's never promised. I'm going to do whatever I want tomorrow, not thinking of the price of tomorrow. Yet I'm leaving a lineage behind me.
Exactly.
And what's going to happen to them when I'm not there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
then you see you can take it both ways, and you can work it how you want at the benefit of one. If you don't have any kids and tomorrow's never promised, then
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
live it.
You
But
can still live today
Yeah.
with the hope of
exactly.
tomorrow. Like the great thing, don't give up or don't lose the hope, because there's still a hope and a vision. Without that, there's no purpose.
There's
So
no
you
purpose
won't have
in life.
anything to
Exactly.
live for today. So
And
definitely have to
just
push that forward.
I more than anything, I had a kid at a young age, so it was life that was just like either you grow up or you grow up. And it was my decision to do so. So I can't be like, well, it was a mistake. Like, no, it was a decision that I decided to do so. And this is a person what person am I putting out in this world?
Mhm.
Is she creating an impact, or is she blending in?
And man, we can talk about that
Yeah.
specific point for hours, because that's amazing. And thank you for those words. I think they're going to be inspiring for a lot of people, for sure.
And I hope they are. And don't. And the thing is, people also put people on pedestal. Like they're like, oh no, ¿por qué ellos? Yo no. Like, no, we all come from the same, not the same, but we have a lot of similarities in the back. It's just, how fearful are you of your own mind?
Yeah.
And how can you defeat that? And how?
Yeah, it's that first.
Yeah,
it's that first
literally, it's that
challenge.
first thing you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
once you're comfortable with you, you're like, oh,
Everything else.
it's okay.
We'll make it
Like,
happen.
you told me that. I believe in myself. It's
Yeah.
okay. And then from there, you just follow the road and hope for the best. But all right then.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you,
It was
Megan,
a
and thank you,
pleasure.
Sandy. Nice talking to you.
Yes, I
So-
hope we can do this again.
Yeah, we should do a part
Sometime.
2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe that time I'll talk about alien.
I know, right? There's so many things.
Yes.
Well,
All right.
thank you so much, beloved audience from Goshen, Indiana, Elkhart. Please remember to share this video, like it, follow us here on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're always creating content regarding our community, and we have very important people, guests like Diana Castillo from Saca Los Tacos today, and we'll have more people coming up.
Yes.
Yeah.
All righty.
All right.
We'll see
It's a
ya.
wrap.
We'll see you next time. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.